Hello, we're here. Welcome. It's Chat with Matt. It is the 15th of April. It's 2020 still. And here we are. On here for half an hour with you guys. Happy to answer any questions that scroll through my screen if I see them. God, Messenger and everything's busy today. But I've got some questions to go with. I've got some great questions to go with. Very excited about that. I had a quick flick through them a moment ago. So let me go down to there. So it means I can't turn on my questions there. My comments there have to be. Hey, brother Darren. So here we go. The question from Sister Luna last night was, what in your view is the most important, and it's a word I always put in inverted commas, practice or practices one person, I for one, can engage in and maintain. So basically it's asking for it personally and a little bit more broadly, can engage in maintaining, it'd be good if I could read. I, for one, can engage in and maintain daily in these intense times we're living through. Second to meditation, as I imagine that would be put first. Potentially meditation is first. I'm not sure if meditation is the most important thing. I know it will vary from person to person, but if you had to pick one or two most critical things that would most powerfully help the process of embodying more of who we truly be and stay centered, grounded and strong through the storm, what would that be? Hey, Sister Luna, I just managed to get through reading your question. No fault of yours, just my dyslexia playing up as per normal. It's not really playing up, it's just the way it is. Hey, Sister Diane. So here it is. My number one pick for what you need to do in these times is to stay out of stress. The most beneficial way, or the most effective way, better word of putting it, the most effective way of doing that, in my opinion, is to choose to consistently take some deep breaths. They don't need to be fancy, right? I could say in through the nose, hold it, and then out through the nose, better. But if it's just a big and a little pause and then a that works too. If you want to mouth some swear words as you breathe out, that is also appropriate if that's what you're going through. But sighing helps. Sighing definitely helps. Making a sound as you exhale helps. But basically the most important thing is to activate your diaphragm. There's little nerve receptors in your diaphragm that pick up that you're actually breathing deeply, and that has a very strong effect on your parasympathetic nervous system, which is what we want to activate to turn off the fight or flight. Hey Mary, hey Louise, hey whoever else scrolled through, that was going pretty quick. Oh, that was all. Oh my God. So, hey Sister Louise. So my number one pick is to, and it's consistently, right? So while meditation is something you schedule and you do in the mornings or the evenings, or perhaps I tend to zone out. I tend to zone out. I'll try and read that in a second, Diane. I tend to zone out. Hey, Sister David. Throughout my day for a few moments and just basically stare out this big window, which is a type of meditation, and basically disconnect from this, reconnect with nature, remember who I am. And I know you've got a question coming up, which is a little bit, I'll get onto that too. I'll try and do them in order and not cross-pollinate everything. I didn't know about the nervous receptors in the diaphragm. Yes, no, look it up. So just the act of getting your diaphragm moving is very, very strong influence on the vagus nerve and thus the parasympathetic nervous system. It's an immensely powerful biological hack to breathe deeply, right? There's nothing woo-woo about this. This is pure biology, physiology. You get your diaphragm moving, you are going to calm down, right? And you can enhance it, right? You can enhance it. So first thing, foremost, is to remember to breathe deep when you are going into stress, when you are finding your shoulders creep up, when you find the anxious thoughts running in your mind, stop, breathe. For me, I like to be a bit more preemptive than waiting for myself to go into a stress response to then utilize a rescue remedy. I'd much prefer to have my little bells of mindfulness being on my computer or countdown timer on my phone every half an hour or every hour or whatever you're capable of, every 2 hours, right? Pick something that you're going to manage. It's no good, setting it for every 15 minutes and then smashing your phone to pieces on hour 2, right? Because your phone keeps interrupting everything you're doing, right? That's not going to help. That's going to make you more stressed. So you have to pick a regime that works for you, and that can change from day to day. But having a reminder, for me, it's just taking 2 deep breaths, right? And they are sort of in through the nose, hold the breath for a period of time, depending on your capacity. For me, that's quite long. For some people, it's going to be breathe in for 6, hold for 3, breathe out for 6. For me, it's more like breathe in for 6, hold for 12, breathe out for 6. But it's no point trying to suffocate yourself in order to get rid of your stress. I have very strong lungs, and I've been training in pranayama and other breathing techniques for 20 odd years. So, and I'm not boasting, I'm just trying to put it into perspective, do what serves you. Hey, Sister Susan. So deep breathing is first and foremost. If you can then add that into a mental reframe, so you're now holding an intention to engage your proactively engage your mind, to remind yourself to relax and to remind yourself that everything is okay. I am safe. This too shall pass, which I believe is part of someone's question coming up. I think it was Jen's coming up. But just reminding yourself that everything's working for you. And in my case, I'm, basically remind myself that whatever's presenting is coming as a part of my process of achieving my empowered freedom. So quite often it's uncomfortable what's arriving in front of me, but that doesn't mean that it's not beneficial. Hey, Sister Glow. Hey, Gal, how are you? Talking about number 1 method of navigating today's world, and I'm talking about that simple deep breathing exercise that we choosing to do it on a consistent basis, and even better, choosing to do it on a consistent basis with an intention to maintain an empowered perspective of the situation you're going through, so that you're no longer fighting a situation that is wrong, and you are now navigating a situation that is part of your process of evolution, part of your process of improvement, part of your process of transformation, right? This shit that's coming up, whether it's coming up from internal of us or whether it's being basically presented to us from the external world, is part of our transformation, personal transformation and societal transformation working together, right? Because our society is a reflection of us, right? And the way that we perceive our society is based on our own energy. And I know it starts to get a bit weird when you start trying to think about that. Is everyone just puppets of my mind? In a way, yes, but in other ways, no. It's our perception of their activities that's important, not their actual activities. And it's all coming through our eyes, so we don't really know what they're really doing. We only know what we're seeing, which is 2 different things, believe it or not, on different levels too, right? Because there's energetic realm. It's complicated, but it's simple in one way. I'm going to drink some more. So that's it. I'm going to leave it at 1, Sister Luna. If you want to add in doing a meditation in the morning and really using that breath technique to enhance your solar plexus, and you can do that while you take those 2 breaths as well. When you breathe in, you're breathing into your solar plexus. You're seeing it grow like the sun inside you. And as you breathe out, you're allowing that light to radiate out through you, and it's flushing you with warm, strong, confident soul essence, if you like, your energy, so that you are really integral in yourself. That's going to benefit. If you want to do 15 minutes, half an hour of meditation in the morning, that is also going to benefit you. But the main thing is to have this consistent practice throughout the day where you are turning off the stress response consistently, and if you can manage, also reframing your mental perspective of the world, which is going to stop you re-triggering the stress response, or at least influence you in a positive direction to not be triggering a stress response as you maintain a more empowered perspective of what is actually going on around you, and you don't feel that you're under attack by the world, or even under attack by your own mentality or emotionality, right? As various things arise from within you, whether it's grief or guilt or anger. It's coming up to release. This is your freedom unfolding. And when you remember that it's your freedom unfolding, then you don't make it so wrong. You don't fight against it, and you basically stay out of stress, right? Because good things are happening, not bad things are happening. And that's number one. Or number two or number three, right? I think I said number one about 5 different things, but that's just how it goes. Sister Jen, how are you? Hey Mary, I'm liking very much that you are referring the solar plexus. Yes, that's where you want to breathe into, right? Because that means you're going to have the diaphragm moving, and that solar plexus is your energetic center. So when you are consciously, intentionally strengthening your solar plexus, you're strengthening your own confidence in the world, which naturally helps you to turn off the stress response. Because if you've got a feeling of strength inside you, you don't feel so much like you're likely to be the victim of what's going on around you, or even what's coming up from within you. I'm out the top of my screen. Maybe I need to make my seat a little lower because I'm sitting up rather straight. I did my back in yesterday. Not badly. Don't panic. Hey, brother Rich. Just pushing the wheelbarrow up the driveway full of timber, firewood that I'd cut. It just went, and I felt it all contract around my midriff. So obviously Matt is going through, this is reframing, Matt is going through a process of releasing yet another layer of unsupported. That's no reflection on anyone in the outside world. I'm not asking you, Phil, to jump up and support me. This is my own internal crap coming up. But yeah, there I was, sort of slowly pushing the wheelbarrow up the hill. Didn't do nothing sudden, right? It was just one step. It's quite a reasonably long driveway, and it's quite a trudge up there pushing a wheelbarrow full of wood. And then all of a sudden I just felt contraction. I went, that's not good. That's not, how do we reframe this? This is going to have a consequence. And sure enough, this morning as I was getting out of bed, it's like that lovely little twinge of pain to remind ourselves that we're alive. Anyway, I did miss a comment that went scrolling through here. It was from Diane. Where was it? I might have missed it, Diane. Yeah. The energy today, ... and then it says see more. The see more button, I don't know if it's just my fingers or whatever, but no. Or maybe that was it. Anyway, okay. The energies of today are rather interesting. Okay, Luna wrote in, whenever my partner mentions anything to do with what's happening at the moment, I go into stress response because... Oh, you're a pain, aren't you? Because I feel so passionate about wanting these dark agendas and players exposed. It's high time. Yeah, but you just need to get out of the wanting, right? He tends to think that all these things are just conspiracy theories. I want to talk about conspiracy. The conspiracy basically comes from a very positive word from Latin. Basically means to breathe together, right? Co-inspire. And somehow society has managed to use this very convenient label of conspiracy theories. The dark agenda, the ruling elite, the authoritarian powers have used this title, conspiracy theories, that is very easily banded around by anything that goes against their agenda, right? And so now people, by and large, bypass a huge amount of information that's coming out because it's a conspiracy theory, which is just a label that gets applied to things based on the common people breathing together and inspiring each other, right, into knowing the truth. And understand that the truth is different for each and every one of us. So while the collective would like this idea of common truth, this is the truth, this is proven science, as if there's any fucking thing that's proven science, right? This whole virus theory is very, very shaky science. But anyway, but let me get back to reading your thing. I feel some are, but it's really a lot of truth too. Anyway, trying not to talk about any of it and just breathe and trust in my own well-being, because that's the most important thing. When it comes up, I do my best to come out of ego inflammation and ground myself. Yeah. I too have noticed that there's moments of quote-unquote anger arise when we think about what is actually going down and what's potentially going down, and none of us really know the complete truth, and I don't even think even the big players know the complete truth because they're all playing together but I don't know how coordinated it is, but it's all running together, right? And so, yeah, conspiracy theory is a conspiracy theory itself, right? Conspiracy, the use of the term conspiracy theory is a great way of disempowering anyone who has any information beyond what is accepted. You know, I had one of my old school friends posted the other day, and I know he's been in fear for a long time because I've seen ever since this thing broke out, he's been, you know, on a fear-based tangent around the virus getting him and his family and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, he basically said, it's very irresponsible for people to keep posting information about conspiracy theories, right? Because it's making him anxious, right? That there's more to this and he's already in overwhelm. So people in overwhelm get very concerned about information that they're not sure if it's right or wrong. And the point is today, and I think it's part of the dark agenda as well, the mass media has been so eroded by being so stupid. Like, you know, they keep using photos that are, you know, out of context with what is actually happening, or maybe not out of context the right word, but it's not actual factual, right? They'll get a photo from Italy and post it on an American thing. They'll use a photo from, you know, people lining up to get into the supermarket after a hurricane a year ago and use it today like it's today's news, right? And so that has eroded most people's faith in mainstream media, which is in one way good, but in another way has put a lot of people into a lot of stress, because now who do we trust to get our news? And there's still the prevalence in the mind that we need to know the news in order to stay safe, because if we don't know what's going on, then we can't stay safe, which is a load of bullshit in my opinion, because all we really need to know is what's going on around us to stay safe, because most of what we see in the news, there's not much we can do about anyway. That's the truth, right? So conspiracy theory and conspiracy theorists. Yeah, that's probably quite true. Although, you know, the word conspiracy has been around since 14th century, so it's, you know, it's an older word than that. But yes, the way that they've spun it has only been in the last century, basically, where it's had such a negative connotation, and it's basically a slur on anyone who brings information that's not following the official narrative. That's a conspiracy theory, right? Which then makes them an outlier, a heretic, basically, right? The shit that we used to get burned at the stake for. We still get persecuted for it, right? Knowing stuff beyond the official narrative that the authoritarian powers are still wanting to perpetuate. Anyway, I've got a lot of questions to answer. So, yes, right, because Louise, your husband's in the armed forces, so you would have known that a lot of the information that was coming about the Bosnia thing was completely different to what was actually happening on the ground there, right? Yeah. They don't let the truth stand in the way of a good story is a very strong media ploy. Anyway, let me get back to the questions. You can't stop me. I'm going here. So hopefully that helped, Luna. We've gone well off track, but let's come back. Louise asked, can I do these more on Zoom or something? Potentially, but probably not. I could do it. I'd be willing to more do it in one of my paid groups where it's a little bit more controllable. There's a bit of work in doing that, and it's a lot more of most people who consume Chat with Matt are doing so post it happening, right? This is a half-hour video that I put out there, hopefully with some pertinent information that has been inspired by those either on the call or writing in beforehand. So to put a Zoom video with different people in it and stuff, it's a bit more, and I don't think I'm going to go there. But, you know, thanks for the request anyway, Sister Louise. Jen, how do we help people see the am I going to be able to read? How do we help people see that discomfort serves them, right? And you went in to write something else, and not just be with it until this too shall pass. So we help people get and empower themselves with their relationship with discomfort by being inspirational in that direction. The best way to serve anyone is to be a good inspiration to them, an example. In my opinion, most of what I do really well, I do through example and giving examples of my life and what I'm doing and how I'm treading this path, because preaching don't work, right? And to tell people that achieving a gets Marie from the background, telling people, you know, that they need to improve their relationship with discomfort and see it as part of their process of evolution, if they're not there yet, is not going to work, right? So, but when they see the fact that you can walk through your discomfort and come out the other side with good outcomes and without going into suffering, then they're going to become more likely to ask and inquire and to take note of what you are doing and how you are interacting with this lovely concept of discomfort, right? And really understanding that comfort is basically normality, what has been normalized to us. We have been trained into understanding or conceptualizing what is comfortable and what is uncomfortable. There is no absolute in that. Even physical pain is very much perceptual. People who have been in certain levels of nervous response, e.g. there's a nervous signal coming back to their body about a certain thing, can overcome that and basically switch it off, right? So that they become immune almost to the pain response in that certain area because it has now become normalized. They're just used to dealing with that level of sensation that it's no longer labeled as pain, right? They've changed their threshold. They've changed their base level so that that level is no longer considered painful. So they don't feel that they're in discomfort, even though they have a sensation running through their body, right? Sister Emily Rose would understand this, right? Having lived with various sensations in her body for many, many years. So when we talk about discomfort, we're talking about anything that lies outside of our normal band of what we consider appropriate, right? That's what discomfort is. It's when we move, it's any level of change from what we're expecting, basically. So there's a lot to this process of working with discomfort, and it is basically any level of discomfort is the process. Hey, Sister Kelly, it's the process of change occurring. Just looking at the time, it's the process of change occurring, and so we all want our world to change, and we all want to change ourselves. Basically, most of us, and yet then we shy away from discomfort, which is this push-pull that goes on, which keeps us in what we call stuck, right? Because we want to expand, and yet we don't want to go through the discomfort of letting the old limitations die away and fall away. Breathwork alone would be enough to change bodily sensations, definitely, because the stress response creates contraction and hypervigilance in the mind. You know, when we're in the stress response, we're hypervigilant to sensation, and so pain becomes more acute when we're in stress, right? And as we relax, we tend to release out of it. You are sensational, Sister Emily Rose. That's exactly right. And it's just how we frame things, right? I'm sensational. High in sensation. No matter what that sensation might be, on what end of the spectrum. Hey, Sister Sandra. Anyway, my friends, let's get on, because Sister Luna also asked another question. Hopefully that helped, Jen. Happy to dance more. So, Sister Luna wrote in, just watch the video that comes with your Empowered You mini package. It was excellent. Congratulations. I want to ask, I understand that self-acceptance is the first step towards self-love. I think I basically understand what self-acceptance looks like when I manage to relax into that. But can you speak about the middle step of self-appreciation? Is that something that naturally springs out of self-acceptance? What does self-appreciation look like? Can you give some examples of this process from your own experience? How can I become more appreciative of myself? Thank you. Right. So in the Empowered You course, mini course, toolbox, I think I call it, toolkit or toolbox, because it comes with 3 MP3s as well. You're welcome, Sister Jen. Talk about this idea of achieving self-love through the process of first self-acceptance, then self-appreciation, and then self-love sort of naturally arises out of self-appreciation. Self-acceptance is relatively obvious. It's when we sort of start to choose not to apply judgmental mentality to ourselves, right? We start to consciously choose to not keep criticizing ourselves and to accept that how we are is just perfect for right now, which then takes us out of a stress response of trying to fix ourselves, trying to improve ourselves all the time, which then allows, ironically, stuff to change and we improve, right? We grow, we change because we've taken ourselves out of the stress of needing to in order to be good, right, and proper, right? Because if we're not in acceptance, then things have to change, or unacceptable is not acceptable, right? We very much fear for our lives if we're not acceptable. So once we start to achieve a level of acceptance of ourselves, then yes, in a way, self-appreciation will start to naturally evolve, but we can definitely make conscious choice in that direction. It's a matter of choosing to reinforce positive habits, that when we do something, we actually mentally congratulate ourselves. We actually look for why what we have just done is better than acceptable. It is actually good, and we did a good job. We appreciate the fact that we probably applied some effort to do it. We appreciate the fact that we probably had to step past some resistance to doing it. We can appreciate the fact that we're in acceptance, right? What we appreciate appreciates. And when we start appreciating ourself with a capital S, right, the bigger part of us, the more mature part of us, then that grows in our experience of ourselves, right? By its very nature. And once we start appreciating ourselves, then loving ourselves naturally happens, right? We basically appreciate ourselves and our heart just opens and love starts flowing through our field, and that is an awesomely joyful experience to be in when we are basically naturally bathing ourselves in love. So to achieve self-appreciation, it does require some intention, right? And some attention to remember to do it more consistently, because the more consistently we do it, then the quicker we are going to make it the ground zero. We're going to make it our habit. We're going to make it our set point. That when we do something, we don't just accept that it was okay, we start to appreciate that it was good, right? And it's just a matter of consciously choosing to do that. And it's hard for those of us who have been in the habit of being hard on ourselves most of the time, right? We have, from a space of low self-worth and a belief that we're not good enough, we consistently criticize what we do and pick what we could have improved. Even if what we did was acceptable, we tend to, this is my mind anyway, tends to look to how can I improve this, thinking that that's going to help me do it better next time. But what it actually does is erode my energy, which makes it harder for me to do it better next time, because I keep eroding my energy by picking fault in what I've done, and looking for how I could improve it is basically picking fault. So it's not helpful. It's the way my mind was trained, right? And especially as a mechanical engineer, I'm very, very good at recognizing how I can improve any particular process or any particular product, right? I look for how can that be improved, right? Which gives my egoic mind, a great deal of satisfaction, but doesn't actually help my energy field. When we focus on our strengths, when we focus on what we're good at, when we focus on what good we've done, then it's the Empowered You toolkit, Sister Mary, that's out there in the world for sale at a very, very reasonable price. Coming to a Facebook ad near you soon. You've done that so much. The criticizing your mind, right? Criticizing what we do and looking for how we can improve it. It's left over from old energies from the past. Ironically, though, we don't go looking to try and get rid of those old energies from the past so that then we can do self-appreciation. If you consistently choose to do self-appreciation despite the resistance you have to it, then you are naturally going to have to. You're going to drive yourself through the process of releasing these old energies from the past. I'll talk to you later about it, Mary. I can see it spiraling out there. So it requires some effort, and for me it might be post-it notes, it might be messages, it might be whatever to remind yourself, right? Beyond what we talked about at the start of the call, which is to take those 2 breaths and relax out of stress, which is very, very important foundation to quote unquote surviving in the world at the moment. To thrive in the world at the moment, you need to go further than just choosing to breathe and relax. You need to start choosing to breathe, relax, and then appreciate yourself, and to appreciate the fact that you are moving through a process of evolution and that you are maintaining your attention on your intended future, right? And appreciating yourself for going forward towards that, actually starting to consciously choose to feel good about yourself for engaging with this process of evolution, right? Because it's not easy, and you do deserve to be appreciated for taking the courageous steps forward in this way, as opposed to, just quote unquote trying to survive this world and doing quote unquote, oh, that was good enough, and then feeling okay with that. And what you're doing is fantastic, right? You're sensational, just like Emily Rose. So that's it. It's a matter of reframing. It's a matter of reprogramming. You can use tapping. You can use NLP. You can use all sorts of different things. You can use light language. But basically what it comes down to is choosing. I mentally list things that I appreciate and love about myself in the morning. Yeah, gratitude journal, right? Which can include not just grateful for the things you have from outside of yourself, but actually, and in the workbook that comes with the Empowered You, right? We go through this process of listing my strengths, right? Listing what I'm good at, and appreciating what you are good at, because that's how you're going to grow into more of that, as opposed to looking at what you're not good at and then trying to improve that, right? What you focus on, you feed, and what you feed grows stronger. It is much more empowered for you to focus on what you're good at and allowing that to grow. That will overcome your weaknesses. But we've been trained, most of us, to look for the weaknesses and then try and fix them. And we think that once we fixed all of our weaknesses, then we're going to be good. We never get there. We never get there because we keep feeding our weaknesses by focusing on them and trying to fix them. Take your attention off your weaknesses. It's not like deny them, but take your attention off them and bring your attention to your strengths, because that is what's going to lift you into a higher vibrational realm, which will naturally help you improve the areas where you are challenged or quote unquote weak. That was Chat with Matt, my friends. That was a good one, I think, from my perspective. I apologize if I've missed some questions. Some of them scrolled through pretty quick. Takes time to ungroove a neural pathway, but it's worth the effort. Exactly. We have to, I've said many times, patience is much more than a virtue. It is absolutely necessary. If you are not willing to take time to go through this process, if you're not willing, if you want to have the quick fix, the magic bullet, the silver bullet, whatever, that we've been so programmed into wanting in our modern world, you are going to fail, right? And you're just going to keep tripping yourself up, thinking that you're not doing a good enough job because you haven't got the outcome you want quick enough. You must be. This is a lifelong process, my friends. Strap in, be prepared, and just start moving forward, because once you get into the process, even though the outcome seems so far away all the time, we actually find joy in ourselves as we are moving forward. And it's the joy comes out of needing to achieve the outcome. The joy is in actually the movement forward. It's in doing the process and feeling that we are doing the process in a appreciable way, right? When we start appreciating ourselves, naturally we find more joy in ourselves with each breath. Easier said than done. Easier said than done, but it's a practice, right? It's a practice. Awesome, my friends. That's it. I'm over time and I've got something else coming up in a few minutes, so I better get prepared for that. Much, much love to you all. I will speak to you again next week, if not before. Where are we up to? Those of you who are in my Empowered, in the Mantara Transformation and Empowerment Support Community, we have our Q&A this weekend, Saturday afternoon, evening, Sunday morning for us here in New Zealand, Australia. Other than that, so what else have I got going on? If you haven't yet joined the New Zealand Momentum Summit, my thing is actually on today. It's actually playing now. It's playing for 48 hours. There is a link to that either below here or above here. Here it is. It's 3 posts down below this. New Zealand Business Summit, it's called, or Momentum Summit. I'm talking about personal resilience, intuitive decision making, and leadership, natural leadership, client something through natural leadership, client serving through natural leadership. And there's lots of there's 23 other speakers on talking about various aspects of navigating this time well, with kind of a business bent to it, but there's a lot of personal development stuff there as well. Tomorrow it starts at 7:30 Eastern time. That's the time I remember. I know I normally talk in Central Time, 6:30 p.m. Central Time. Tomorrow it will be 11:30 a.m. here in New Zealand. Tomorrow we've got our global something or other gathering, the global gathering. That's a couple more posts down this feed. I'm the anchorman. I'm going last on that. There's 15 different healers, facilitators, transformational peeps, more of the woo-woo. This is much more woo-woo than the business summit, I can assure you. And we're basically just going to do 5 to 7 minutes each. So it's going to be an hour and a half of full on. I've never done anything like this before. I'm really looking forward to it. We're basically just going to go one after the next, after the next, after the next. So that will be a very interesting hour and a half of how 15 of us can work together to bring in the intention of basically anchoring more light and facilitating a lot of transformation onto the planet. That too is free. You do need to sign up. I'm not the organizer. So there's a link down there. You can sign up and you will get an email and you will get the call-in details. It will be on Zoom. You will be able to see us all, the panelists, as we scroll through this thing. So, and there's some awesome people in it, right? So there's some reasonably big names. Not, we're not talking Deepak Chopra or anything like that, but there's some, depending on who you are, there's some reasonably big names there. Crystal Hughes, Dawn Crystal, Emmanuel Daga, Tarek Bibi, and many others. I don't want to list anyone off, well, I have listed them off. But there's a lot. I'm not going to read them all out now. So if you're interested in that, I could put maybe the link again in this feed, but it's there. Anyway, now I have gone well over time and I've only got a few minutes before my next session. Much love to you all. I will speak to you whenever. If you want some deeper help with me, reach out, right? Reach out and we'll sort out how we can best do that. Whether it's a clarity call to get sure on where you're going, or whether you need a personal session where we'll do some light language specifically for you to get you through whatever's coming up, then that can be arranged. And at the moment, the New Zealand dollar is very, very good value versus other big currencies. So that's it, my friends. Bye for now. Much love.